People who you thought were peripheral associates came out with support like you were their own child. Other people who came to your wedding threw you under the bus. That was hard. That was hard. Just a kid from the middle of England. I was born in a city called Stoke-on-Trent in Staffordshire. From a very early age, I seemed to have a pretty severe stutter, or what some people would call a speech impediment. I've often been very reluctant to share because I talk fairly well now, and so I find the story almost something that other people would find hard to believe is true. Because my entire line of work, regardless of it revolving around cars, ultimately everything I do is revolving around me talking. For someone that didn't answer the phone until I was in my teens because I was either too scared or literally physically unable to pick up a phone and say hi, to someone who now speaks hundreds of thousands of lines of dialogue to a camera each year, is quite a strange journey. But other than that, just a kid that grew up liking cars. My journey to overcome this was very unique to myself, because when you have a stutter, you try and find and learn from other people that have them. Unfortunately, every single stutter or speech impediment is incredibly unique to that person. The reason for that is you can be born with it. It can be a physical defect. It can be a psychological defect. Often they are sadly linked to childhood trauma. And so there's no pill for this. There's no answer. When I was at school age, like early school age, I became really interested in the world of freestyle motocross. Now in the UK, that scene was like zero, but in the States, it was huge. This was the most profound shift for me because growing up an impressionable teenager, you got these dudes ripping through the desert, hitting ramps, doing Supermans off the back of bikes. But interestingly, from my visual point of view, was like, how are they filming this stuff? Seemingly, they got a very small team. And so I became really interested in how can me and my friends make something like this. And I used to just film me and my mates having a fun time. But because I really couldn't talk that well, I was never in front of the camera. So I always kind of thought that one day I would be in this creative profession off screen because I'd be fine to edit stuff. And for me, I think even to this day, it's one of, if not the most profound, maybe life-changing experience. Because when I saw that lens and I was holding that camera, it was the first time in my entire life that I have control over my own voice before somebody else hears it. Because I could capture it away in this box. So the irony of that was it relieved a huge amount of pressure. I knew that I could take 1, I could take 20 just to try and get it right before anyone else heard it. Or I could take it back to the edit and I could change it and tweak it and make it work. But I always had this safety net that even if it went wrong, this was my box and I could hide it away. And if I wanted to, no one would ever see it. The psychological trigger that happened in my head at that moment on that day transformed my entire life. Can you imagine growing up and people are telling you, no, you can't do something? I had possibly even worse where people believe you can't. And it's almost worse because people saying no is normally because they want to see that themselves do it, or they might be jealous, or their mindset might be wrong. And so the reason that I do what I do is because I want to see how far the boy that couldn't talk can go. On the one hand, I probably won for myself when I uploaded my very first video 10 years ago. So when you have your family phoning you up saying, "Are you okay?" People are sending you death threats. You know what I mean? People are wishing you didn't exist anymore because of this thing you haven't done. That is really, really hard because it's affecting your family. If it was just on me, it was a challenging time. Way more challenging off screen than on screen, because at home at night, you've got people close to you reading these comments saying, "This guy wants to kill you. This guy thinks you're the worst person ever." It was the most efficient friend filter I'd ever seen. Within a day, I knew who my friends were instantly. It was fascinating. In that same day, I also found friends I didn't know I had. That was really, really strange. People who you thought were peripheral associates came out with support like you were their own child. Other people who came to your wedding threw you under the bus. That was hard. That was hard. Every single day, I'm fighting, saying the right word at the right time to make my sentence not go wrong. And so imagine a conveyor belt of words. I have had to become a walking thesaurus. So I've changed that word before it arrives to mean the same thing. As I ended up using really theatrically descriptive words in order to say something that you could probably just say quite simply. And I would see this in the comments section, and it was nice feedback, but I would use other words as B-roll for other words, right? I ended up having this unique style of describing how cars felt and how they drove because I would be changing words all the time. That helped cement my place in the automotive space because no one else was talking quite like that about cars. There's this incredible race circuit in the Eifel Mountains in Germany called the Nurburgring, and it is the world's longest active racetrack. Almost every major car brand who is looking to develop a performance car, they benchmark the performance of that car on that stretch of tarmac because it's the longest and most challenging circuit worldwide. If you as a manufacturer or a performance driver or an athlete wants to be taken seriously, you go there and you set a time transparently for the world to see. However, most brands, they have like 2 years of secret development first, loads of R&D, testing, shakedowns, loads of failed laps, then they'll get one and then they'll put it out and go, "Yeah, we did it. Our car has done a sub-7 lap time." And that's become this universally acknowledged time, is to try and do a complete lap of the Nurburgring in under 7 minutes. And it's become catchily known as sub-7. I decided to go on this very transparent journey in the reverse of showing everything that it takes to try and do this. I set myself for no good reason other than to keep seeing how far I can go. I became very passionate about this stretch of tarmac. Like, it's probably the place that I enjoy experiencing cars the most. My dad used to race Formula Ford. His helmet still sits in my office at home. And so, yeah, I think that helmet kind of reminds me perhaps of where I got the DNA from for the love for cars. But the number one by far and away is, it doesn't take me long in the morning to stutter on something. As soon as I stutter, I'm like, all right, let's fucking go, right? When I was at school, Or even when I was at university, if a careers advisor had have asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? What I do now didn't exist. That is an amazing thing, right? I've got quite high hopes that he'll probably do something in the car world, but what the outlet and the platform will be, I wouldn't predict, because for me, it didn't exist. For about 8 or 9 years, I was doing what I now look back on as a normal job, working in an office. It was a 9 to 5 structure, and I wasn't doing it for anyone other than the company I was working for. And when you have bad days on those days, you generally think, why am I doing this? This sucks. While you have bad days doing something you love doing, they don't register the same way. You don't even think about it the same way. How you end up overcoming problems and how do I push this craft and your game and your passion forwards, it's not even conscious. You just do it because you're so passionate about it that you inherently end up advancing your game, right? I don't have like a very big watch collection or anything like that. I didn't find my first proper watch until I was 30. You're 30, you heard that right. Normally, because whenever I've got some spare money for a watch, I normally end up buying a car. However, what I find that I often do is mark substantial milestones with them.